We're in the bathroom here that I've been remodeling the last couple of months. You can see the cross stitch here and the DIY faucet. I gotta do something about these lights. I think they're old and kind of frumpy looking, and so I want to replace them with something a little bit more modern to match the rest of what we're doing in here. I think it's gonna be a pretty easy little project, so let's get after it. Okay, I've got this cottonwood log. I'm gonna cut it up and see if it looks any good. It's been sitting in my yard for about a year, so we'll see if it's got some solid wood in it still, but I think it's gonna look awesome. It started to kind of spalt and get some interesting colors, but I think it's still going to be pretty solid.
So while doing this video, I was knocked out for a couple of weeks with COVID, but there's nothing like working on a log for a little treatment.
I've run it through the thickness planer a few times and got 2 flat parallel edges, but I don't know if I like it or not. It might be a little bit too far gone. It's a little more gray than I was hoping for. It's still pretty solid, but it might look a little too rotten. So we'll keep cutting it and see how it turns out.
When milling up a log with a chainsaw like this, I always start on the end just to establish 2 parallel square lines, and then I run it down lengthwise, and it cuts the fastest and straightest that way.
After running this log through the table saw and the planer, I've got it perfectly square. Now I'm ready to start trimming it up to the final dimensions.
Now that I have the piece basically roughed out and squared up, I can start assessing the log and see what I like about it, see what I don't like about it. It's actually really solid and it's not too rotten, and once I cut a little bit more off, it was looking really good, so I felt comfortable going forward with it. And you can see here just how wet the inside part of the log was. So I'm gonna need to cut this a little bit bigger than I might normally, just because I know it's gonna warp and I'll have to trim a little bit off later.
Well, that worked pretty good. It was nice and clean too.
Man, I need to collect all this and take it to the bank. Maybe they'll let me start a shavings account. Well, anyways, whenever I have a little end cut off like this, I like to test the strength of it. I'm sure it'll be fine.
It's been a little while since I cut these out. They've been drying in my garage and outside. I think the grain is looking awesome. Super stoked on it, but there is a little bit of a problem in that they've warped a little bit from the drying process. They are dry enough that they shouldn't be warping too much more. I'm just going to use an aggressive belt on my belt sander and knock this outside edge down a little bit just so it's not noticeable. There's a little bit of chucking here, but they're still nice and sturdy. No big deal.
So I designed these light fixtures to conform to the golden ratio, which is almost 5x8, but not quite. And along that basically 5x8 grid, I thought it'd be nice to add just a little design flourish. Each one's gonna be a little bit different, so it'll be a little asymmetrical, but I think asymmetry is love. I've heard people say before that being a good woodworker isn't not making mistakes, it's knowing how to fix your mistakes. Well, I think that's actually just life in general. We all make mistakes, but it's about figuring out how to keep moving on and not letting it get us down. If you've watched my previous videos, you've seen me do this a few times in the past with the copper. Basically, you just need ammonia in a sealed container, and then you put vinegar and salt on the copper and leave it in there for a little while, and it gets this really awesome blue corrosion. And this will match the faucet that I did in the bathroom just to tie in the light fixtures with the faucet, and I just love the way this looks. For this fixture, I wanted to do the copper inlay, but I thought it'd be really cool if I cut around the outside of it, so when you turn the lights on, you see light coming from behind that copper. For the light socket itself, I found these little guys at a big box store for only like $2 or $3 a piece. And I will just easily, without any sort of struggle, screw this in to the inside. And then I'll use these little metal brackets to attach the fixture to the wall and keep it about ½ inch or an inch off the wall so light can shine out from behind the wood. Now I'm not actually going to show you any of the electrical because I'm not an electrician and I figure I should stick to what I know. Just be sure you follow your local codes. White goes to white, black goes to black. It's not too hard, but be really careful. And now for the final shots. Hit the lights.
Whoa!
What do you think?
It's like there's a fire in here. I like it.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. You're awesome. Find a log and build something beautiful. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. Is that good or should I keep going?